Let's look at one more example of how to interpret the slope and the intercepts in context. This problem doesn't have an equation, so before we can start the interpretations, we have to find that equation first. So we have $48 to spend on soda and chips for a party. The 12 pack of soda costs $6 and a bag of chips costs $4. The number of 12 packs we can afford, which is represented by the letter Y, is a function of the number of bags of chips we decide to buy, and we're going to represent that with the letter X. So in other words, those chips that are $4, we're going to buy X bags of those. And then the 12 packs of soda, which are $6 each, we're going to buy Y packs of those. And altogether, that's going to come out to $48. Now, in order to identify the slope and intercept so we can interpret them, we need to rearrange this. If all we had asked for was the equation that represents this, this would be a perfectly great answer. But in order to go further and make these interpretations, we need to solve this for Y. So I'll subtract that 4x over to the other side. That gives me 6y is equal to negative 4x plus 48. And then I'll divide everything by 6. So what that gives me is y is equal to a negative 4 over 6. I'll simplify to negative 2/3 x. And then 48 over 6 is 8, so plus 8. Okay, the nice thing about this is now we can identify that our slope is negative 2/3. So I'll write that down. And then our y-intercept is 8. So b is equal to 8. Okay, and then we need to interpret this in context. So we're going to look at kind of two interpretations of this slope because it is kind of a more interesting one to look at. So the first one, we'll use this statement up here. So as the x variable increases by 1 unit, so when we buy a bag of chips, or as the number of bags of chips we buy increases by 1, so for each bag of chips we buy, if anything along those lines is fine, the amount of soda decreases by 2/3 of a pack. Okay, and the reason that we're writing it as 2/3 and it doesn't have the minus sign on it like it does here is because we use this word decreases. So that decreases is taking care of that minus sign there. All right, so what's really going on there? Because that's kind of a mouthful to say that we're buying a bag of chips and decreasing by 2/3 of a pack of soda. I don't think the grocery store is really going to go for that. So really what's going on here is remember that when we find our slope, that this is the y, the difference in the y in the top. So this would be our soda. And then our x was our chips. And so really you can think of this as being a conversion factor in the sense that 2 packages of soda are going to have the same cost as 3 bags of chips. So if you wanted to buy more bags of chips, every time you gave up 2 of the cases of soda, you could buy 3 additional bags of chips. It's kind of a way of looking at that. So anything that kind of gets at this relationship is fine with me. What I'd like you to do is to go ahead and pause the video and give this a try. So I've already identified that y-intercept for you. So interpret that in context, then find the x one and give that a try. All right, so hopefully you tried those. Let's see if we get kind of similar interpretations here. So interpreting the y-intercept in context, we would start with when x is equal to 0. So if we buy 0 bags of chips, that means we're going to spend all of our money on the soda, and we can buy 8 packs of soda. Okay. And then to get the x-intercept, remember that the x-intercept is when y is equal to 0. So our equation is y is equal to negative 2/3 x plus 8. So I'll put 0 in for y. Just forgot that x there. Okay, and And so I get 2/3 x is equal to 8. So if I multiply both sides by 3/2, okay, or you could divide by 2/3, it's the same idea. What I end up with is that x is equal to 12. Okay, so if we buy no soda, we can buy 12 bags of chips. All right, so hopefully you have something fairly similar to that in your interpretation.